That's like your brain.
And we
Nice.
are we are live, ladies and gentlemen. You are more than welcome to this week's edition of Mauls, Balls and All. It is Thursday. It is just gone 8:30. And joining me are some familiar faces. We have Matt Boland, we have Claire Devaney, we have Peter Martin, and we have, my God, look at this gentleman. Now, come here. I'm going to say this now. I believe you never played rugby. Is that correct?
It is.
Oh, okay, fair enough. So now I'll go into my introduction of you and your stellar career to date. Let it be known. You were involved in the Leinster Academy. You were also involved with the sorry, if you go back to the start, you were involved with Clongowes, the Leinster Academy, the Sharks, and now you find yourself as the attack coach for Bordeaux Beglers, a proud Clare man, and you are touted, Noel, as being, and this is no lie, and I would agree with everything that has been said about this. You are touted as being the best Irish-born coach in the business at the moment, and I would totally agree with that. Noel McNamara, how the hell are you?
Thanks very much, Peter, for that introduction. Yeah, very well, very well. It's 9:30 here in France, past my bedtime. So yeah, very happy to be up chatting to you guys, and yeah, looking forward to it.
Not what bloody time do you go to bed at now?
Generally about 9 o'clock. Yeah.
About 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Come here to me. What time would you be up at then?
What time would be up at? About 5:30. About 5:30.
Yeah.
6 o'clock at the latest. But yeah, it's just a habit. It wasn't always like this, I can tell you, but it's just a habit we've got into, and yeah, even the kids have got into a great routine. They go to bed at 7:30. Even the eldest, who is now 11, will still 8 o'clock at the latest, and yeah, for me, 10 o'clock would be late, very late. So yeah, that's yeah.
No, the only time I'd be up at 5:30 in the morning would be for a piss.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm up at 5. I'm up at 5 every morning.
Right. Okay. Now, come here to me. Okay, let's go on to welcome all, and let's go on to what we're talking about. Noel, I'm going to ask you first. You're well used to us. You've been on the show before. The quarterfinal match between France and Ireland. France went on to win it 18-13. Ireland were leading 13-0 at half time. They scored nothing in the second half, which is quite disappointing. But the predominant thing that came out of that, Noel, was, as we said before we went live, was Bikegate. Now, an awful lot of people posted and commented on this whole idea, but why wasn't it picked up? Why wasn't it looked at? Why wasn't it penalised? Why wasn't there a yellow card, a red card, or whatever it was? Now, it's interesting, Noel, because we have Luke Pearce on the show next week, and I'm dying to ask him about this as well. But your thoughts on this, Noel, as to why or what happened or what the hell went wrong there with that?
Yeah, I think it's certainly one of the stories. I think there's lots of stories from the game, and it obviously has. You're right. It has blown up a lot at the after the game. I think there are other stories to the game, and not least the performance of the two teams. But I think because it's so unusual, it almost felt like they didn't know what to do. I think when you look at the replays on TV, it looked clear and evident. I think the shock on Aoife Wafer's face, it was almost like, is this happening? Did that just happen? And she looks, is there evidence that just happened? I know that the captain came out afterwards and said that she did speak to the referee, but it was almost like as if they didn't know what to do. And I was trying to think of when the last incident like this took place in it's been a long time, hasn't it? There's just so many camera angles. There's so many. It just just doesn't really happen. And whether it was, it's hard to say that the TMO didn't have conclusive evidence. But I guess you're almost maybe giving someone the benefit of the doubt. I think afterwards the French player admitted guilt immediately, didn't she? And as a consequence,
I don't think immediately. No, I think she
Really?
admitted after she was kind of
Banned.
got banned, for 12 games or whatever it was. I think she came out and said it then. No, I think.
Really, it was 18 down to 9, wasn't it? It was 18 games originally and reduced to 9.
Yeah, 12 weeks
down
to 9.
Exactly. Yeah, which I personally I think is ridiculous. I think the ban should have stood. Peter Martin, go on. I'm interested to hear what everyone thinks about this. Peter Martin, that whole incident, as I've asked Noel, it just really it wasn't rugby-esque etiquette.
No, absolutely not. Like, I think, like the dogs in the street, like, it wasn't as if it wasn't a question of let's slow it right down, let's go frame by frame and just kind of see, oh yeah, you can see there, that's where there's a bite. You can look at it in real time and you're going, hang on a minute here. This player's having a nibble. And it's just quite incredible. Like, and the statement by World Rugby is just really hands in the air, like saying, "Oh my sweet divine Jesus!" Like, where are they going with this? Like, they're making fools of themselves. The language they use in the statement said that there wasn't basically, enough corroborating evidence. It's like, are you goddamn blind? Like, it's they've really let themselves down, World Rugby, by coming out and trying to say, rather than saying, we got this terribly wrong. Do you know what I mean? Like World Rugby is truly suffering for a bit of credibility at the moment. And let's park this biting incident aside. Between various other things they're trying to do, there's a lack of credibility around, we'll say, looking after concussion and head injuries and all that. Now they're moving slowly towards moving things an awful lot better. But this is a piece that's just like, come on. The bit of progress they've made, I suppose, if you want to call it progress, that they're trying to get themselves and they're being trustees of the game, being guarantors of the game. They've shot themselves in both feet with this, with their response to the way for the biting incident. Totally, I feel.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Pete. Matt Boland, your thoughts on this? I suspect, Matt, you would agree with what Noel and Pete have just said there, and what Claire is going to say. I think it's one of these things where I don't think there's any disagreement amongst the panel, really.
No, look, I mean, the evidence was clear cut, and not even just the bite in itself. She actually took nearly 2 or 3 attempts at it first before she got a grip of her and bit her. Like, granted, there probably wasn't skin broken or anything like that, but that's a whole different thing. But it's the fact that she bit her, and that's what should be looked at as an overall. And as Noel and Peter have said prior to me, like, when was the last biting incident that happened? It's one of those things that just mars the game of rugby, and it's against the ethos. It's against what we want to be seeing and kids want to be seeing, and I think World Rugby really have shit the bed here by not addressing it properly, but then by also reducing the ban, because things like that should be dealt with an iron fist, and it should be 18 months or 18-week ban, whatever, and that's it. There's no mitigation, there's no nothing. That should be it. And I suppose the annoying thing is then, when she did admit her guilt after the hearing, then she appealed it, and then she got it reduced to 9, and I think that's another kick in the stones as well. So I really don't know what they're playing at, and as Pete said, they're looking to increase safety in the game with high shots and concussions and all this thing, but this is just a step backward, and it's going to take another bit of time for people, for the fans that are watching this every day, to get a bit more trust back in World Rugby.
Yeah. Claire, go on. Yes. I'm going to ask you before I go into the comments here that are coming up. Claire, your thoughts on that?
Were the cameramen French? Because the French cameramen are notorious for not having the right angle of film, and that was what I was thinking. We can't see clear and obvious. Cameraman is obviously French. Yeah, no, it's Woodward are doing themselves a disservice for like it was obvious. They gave the 12-week ban, and they didn't even come out and say what the mitigating circumstances were from dropping it from 12 to 9. Because usually it's like if it's a high tackle, it's like this is your ban, but if it goes to tackle skill, it's reduced by this. They didn't even come out and say that for this Whitegate incident.
Yeah, true. And now, come here. Before we go on, I've just reminded myself of something here. Noel, Pete, Matt, and Claire. This is the actual reason. Now, Noel, you're far more qualified to reply to this, and I don't want to get you into trouble. That is never our intention here. But no, World Rugby's response to the biting incident and as to why it wasn't picked up at the time, and I quote, "In reviewing the matter live, the TMO was unable to determine clear and obvious foul play and did not have the benefit of additional evidential submissions to corroborate." No, seriously, like, are they having a laugh?
Yeah, well, I assume what they're talking about there is that they didn't have a statement from Aoife Wafer and they didn't have physical evidence of her arm and everything else, that they were relying solely on the video. But the reality is that whoever was in the box at that given time wasn't prepared to make the decision. I think it boils down to that. For whatever reason they come to afterwards, whether the stakes are high, obviously they are. The game is tight, obviously it is, and they weren't prepared to. Because I think when the captain goes to the referee and to the experienced referee as well. We would have had Amy a number of times in South Africa. She would have refereed derbies in the URC. In the Curry Cup as well. I can only assume that there was communication between the referee and the TMO. I do think that's something that can get better. If that communication link is live. I'm also one of the people that strongly believes that there is too much TMO interference in the game. I think there are too many times when the TMO is actually refereeing the game. I think there are too many marginal decisions that are refereed by TMOs, and it's almost getting to the stage where you're in the stadium and people are almost afraid to celebrate a try because it's like and people are looking for stuff. It's like, oh well, there might have been a slight knock on by the scrum half 17 rucks ago, or the pass 45 millimeters forward, and if you pass on the line, like it's almost like the worst thing you could possibly do is pass the ball on the line. Because the concept of momentum doesn't count when you're passing on a line. But anyway, that's my point is, I just think there needs to be a little bit more clarity. You've got some TMOs that are absolutely involved every 2-3 minutes, and then you've got TMOs in a situation like this when they should have been involved and they weren't. And there was no screen, there was no kind of communication where everybody could at least, because I do think that helps. At least when there's a communication, listen, I can't see clearly, and it's a game played by people. There's mistakes on every side, and I fundamentally believe that we have to accept that. I fundamentally believe, and I know there are people that would say, no, with technology that we have now, we can eradicate that. Well, then, if that's the case, then let it be played by.
I would say no. I would say no. In general, no. I agree with what you're saying. My only issue with this particular incident, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Where there's too much TMO interference and stuff like that. Is that this particular incident was played 3 or 4 times on the big screen? Aoife Wafer came over to the referee and showed her arm to the referee, and there was just nothing done about it. Now I don't want to go on about this. I just think it was. I think it was a mistake. A big mistake that could have had a big outcome on the game itself, which is quite obvious. So anyway, I'll let you respond to that, Noel, and then we move on.
No, I agree with you. I think it was a mistake. I think it would be better. I think what subsequently happened afterwards in the statement and everything else. I think people can kind of understand a little bit if that's a little bit clearer. I would feel as well in the game, sometimes we focus too much on that incident. There's absolutely nothing to say that if that French player received a red card, that Ireland would have won the game. There's nothing.
No, I'm not suggesting that. No, I'm not suggesting that at all. No.
Yeah, there's lots of other things as well that I'm sure, and I would have felt at the end of the game, I would love to have seen, with the advantage, and I thought the French defense was very, very narrow. If they could have had a dip at trying to pull it out, but obviously, they had been getting some joy from being direct, and when you're that close and when the stakes are that high, that's the biggest challenge, So, but I don't think anybody is served by this. I don't think there's been any positive, and even now, I still think it's probably kind of like, it's just a little bit grey, isn't it? It's just, and you know what? Sometimes people just need accountability. She said, you know what? It was a big game. I really wasn't sure. I felt I couldn't make the call. Okay. But like I didn't get the right angle, and Claire is absolutely right, But it's a World Cup game, Claire. It's in England. I don't think there's a French TV director much as but
no.
Do you know who did get good? Do you know who did get good thing out of it? Jacobs. Did you see the ad Jacobs put out about the boy? I sent it to the group. Jacobs put out a thing. Do not bite this wafer, and a picture of Aoife wafer. Bite this wafer, and it's a picture of a wafer back. It was actually very funny. Well done to their team. Their PR team.
I hope Aoife Wafer has her image rights registered and she gets really looked after.
Oh, okay. Now we have Shirley Thornton, who I was messaging yesterday about this. There is no excuse. They are taking crap. They are talking crap about not dealing with it correctly. They have set a bad impression of rugby in general. I find it beyond disgusting. The TMOs, ultimately the biggest World Rugby, are trying through their teeth, and as always, this to be acceptable. Okay. Thanks, Shirley. Let me see. Dara Weston, our colleague. It's madness, lads. Even the UFC, where you can punch your opponent in the head while they're on the ground, or punch. It's just. Is Dara Weston still taking his drugs, lads?
Yeah.
Going out zero biting policy, instant disqualification. Yet World Rugby, in their infinite wisdom, and there are never any quest for protecting player welfare, saw it as a mid-level biting offence. Worthy of an 18 weeks, but mitigated down to 12 weeks. What possible mitigation, I don't know. And then reduce it further to 9 weeks, as you were saying, Noel, on appeal until they start to get real on. Okay. Right. Let me just hide that. Thank you. Anything else? Shirley Thornton again. No one is suggesting we'd have won. It's the principle, do not bite. Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. Dara Weston, and then we move on, and we won't even talk about how there should have been a scrum awarded at the end rather than, oh my God. Yeah, I know. Dara,
he's definitely on the drugs.
I know. Yep. Absolutely. I know. Okay. Right. Bygate, we shall leave that there. Noel, the recent announcements of the current Leinster coaching ticket, which an awful lot of people, not an awful lot, but a few people were surprised at, that Nienaber was staying, Blandal is staying, and Rob Brydon is staying. Now, Rob and Blandal, I can understand. Nienaber, no, there was an awful lot of kind of, not controversy, but kind of, well, is his method working? No. Would you think it is working for Leinster Rugby from an outside looking in?
Yeah, of course it's working. I think the reality for Leinster is everything seems to be measured on the Champions Cup, and whilst they've been incredibly close the last number of seasons, obviously came up short last season against Northampton, and the previous season in the final. The margins are so small. I thought about obviously we were lucky this season and managed to get there. But the previous year we lost 42-41 to Harlequins in Shaban in the quarterfinal. Harlequins certainly weren't coming. They'd given Joe Marler and Danny Kerr a week's holidays, and they came over, and the young Finn Baxter and Will Porter were absolutely fantastic at 9 and at loosehead. But it's so difficult to win it. It's so difficult even to get to the semi-final and get to the final and everything else. So, like, I think there's absolutely zero surprise that coaching group are staying together. And I think one of the challenges that you have as well as a coaching group is trying to get some cohesion and keep a group together. And that's maybe something that Leinster haven't had over the last while. When you think about, obviously Stuart was there for quite a while, but Gervin was there the last time they won it. Felipe was there. Andrew Goodman was there. Tyler Blandal is now there. They've had some changes with some of the coaches between Hugh Hogan, Dennis Leamy, and obviously Sean O'Brien has come in now as well. So I've no doubt that the desire was there to get some stability within the group, and as I said, it was such a fine line, even last season, but every year over the last number of years. And I think as well, like, people forget how difficult it is to win the URC. I hear everyone saying, it was an okay season. They won the URC and they lost the semi-final of the Champions Cup and had an opportunity to win it at the death. It's a great season.
Come here. Sorry, no, I don't mean to cut across. No. As you were talking about the coaching ticket there, what do you think of, or how do you rate the new Munster coaching ticket?
Yeah, obviously there hasn't been much change there really, other than the head coach. They've got Mike Prendergast is still involved. Dennis Leamy, obviously, I know Massey Lawler as well quite well. So I think it's a very strong group. I think the head coach Clayton McMillan, isn't it? McMillan.
Yeah.
I keep Milligan. I confuse the name sometimes, but
Clayton McMillan.
Great job, McMillan. He's done a great job with the Chiefs, and I was reading an article today. I didn't realise he's a former policeman, so similar to Steve Henson. It'll be very interesting how the difference that he can make. And again, we're talking about a team that has recently had success and a largely settled playing group. I think their big challenge will be replacing their the leaders that they've lost, and you probably don't fully understand the impact that somebody like Peter Manning and Conor Murray would have had in the group until they're gone. And they've been there for so long. I'm not sure when Peter Manning made his debut, but it feels like 15, 16 years ago at this stage. So
it does. Yes, it does. Yeah, it does. Noel, have you got a dog there with you?
There is. Yeah, he wants to go.
Show me your dog, Noel. Show me your dog. I'm a dog lover. Show me your dog. Go on.
I'll show. Will I be able to get the laptop down to him?
Yeah, go on.
Can you see him?
Where is he?
King Charles.
King Charles. What's his name, Noel? Tell us his name.
His name is Teddy Bear.
Teddy Bear.
Very good.
Yeah.
I love it.
So as you can imagine, my young kids picked the name.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, so it's always the kids that pick the name. Always.
It is indeed. No, I love it. I'm a huge dog lover myself, and so is Claire. Anyway, we won't go into it. Peter Martin, the coaching ticket for Leinster Rugby has been renewed. I think a few of us, Pete, were, I suppose, surprised, really, because there was a bit of backlash against Nina Barr's rush defence and all this sort of stuff. As I've asked Noel, Pete, what do you think about the renewed contracts for the Leinster coaching ticket?
Well, look, I suppose there has been some success, not the success that Leinster perhaps are desiring, but they're hoping that, we go again, to use that cliche. There's obviously enough there. The players, the senior players in the group are obviously happy enough with what's happening. They feel they're able to add bits and pieces onto their game. They're moving forward, and I think that's ultimately what it boils down to. The cohesion piece, there's still plenty to learn. Like, And I suppose this is something that I'd like to ask Noel later on when we come to the point of evolution. Is that as a coach, you're always learning, and like Nienaber coming in, like he's going to learn from the Leinster players. Everybody, it's a learning environment. I think if you're not learning, you're not going anywhere, obviously, and it's not going to work out. But I think they're all learning from each other the whole time. You know, don't forget we have Rico Ioane, whatever his name is coming to us. You know, just around Christmas time, I think.
Yeah.
And it's
sorry, Pete. I just had a message there from Ben. Ben Whitehouse is watching us. There you go. How are you, Ben? There you go.
Hi, Ben.
Man, Ben.
When you coming on, Ben? When you coming on, Ben?
The 9th of October, Claire. Go on,
9th
Pete.
of October. There we go. Date in the diary. No, but look, that's basically it. It's the players are obviously happy. They're reasonably happy camp. Why if it like there's obviously, as you've kind of said already, like there are voices grumbling saying what the hell, like, you know, with re-signing, but there's obviously the majority of voices there, the majority of bodies, the vibe in the Leinster camp, all the intangible stuff. They're happy. They say, yeah, will we do this again for another year? Yeah, let's do it again for another year. Everybody's bought in. Let's put it on paper, like, and that's it, I think.
Yeah, all right, no, fair enough, Pete. Yeah, good point. Matt, the rush defence, as you know, as Pete knows, as Noel, you know, Claire, you know, we all know, the rush defence came in for some criticism under Nienaber and Blaendal and that particular coaching ticket. Funny enough, Leo Cullen was never mentioned to be at fault for this. Matt, would you were you surprised? Were you happy with the whole reappointments of Blaendal, Nienaber, and Robin Bird or Robin Bride or whatever? I agree with. But go on, Matt. What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, I mean, look, I suppose we've been very highly critical of Nienaber for last season, and because I suppose we were expecting a much more quicker and positive result of his defensive systems and the rush defense and all that sort of stuff, and it didn't really come to the forefront at the time. But we've also said that, like, coaches do need time with teams to bed in, and normally a season isn't good enough to get the full results out of teams. So they obviously see something. The powers that be in Leinster obviously had something started to click towards the end of the season, and you know, if that was the case, then let him continue. You know, because it's only going to develop better. And you have to remember, like, Jacques Nienaber was pretty much instrumental in the last two South Africa World Cups. Definitely the last one anyway. I think he was an assistant coach for 2019, but he was more senior in 2023. And
yeah,
the results spoke for themselves down there. And I think we were kind of saying, well, yeah, this is Ireland. It's not South Africa and we don't have the players and that type of thing. But again, it looks like it's starting to come in, and it certainly did in the final of the URC anyway, because things just really went well for them, albeit they were poor in the Champions Cup, and I think they were just caught a little bit offside on in a different tactic and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, look, I mean, you know, he's definitely bringing something to the table. It's probably going to take this season, maybe halfway through this season or whatever, to maybe Noel will be able to explain how long it takes.
Matt, how long would you give a coach?
Like, coaches
to improve things.
2 seasons. 2 seasons. They need 2 seasons. You know, it's a new team, it's new players, it's new systems, new strategies, everything. And you know, like, when somebody gets a new job, they can't just go in and make things better and change everything straight away. You have to learn and then develop. So it has to be 2 seasons minimum.
All right. Okay.
But they did, Matt. I think people confuse a moment in the season with the season. I'm sorry for interrupting, but, like, does anyone remember the game against Harlequins? What was the score?
Oh yeah, like 52-0 or something.
62-0.
62-0.
Against Glasgow, it was a similar story. So okay, they got a game wrong, but it wasn't. It was one of the most dominant performances I think I've ever seen that game against Harlequins. We lost to Harlequins in the Champions Cup the year before.
Yeah.
I mentioned that quarterfinal 42-41. So I think sometimes we are fixated on one moment in the season, the moment, and unfortunately, it has big consequences. It has big consequences, and that game for a variety of different reasons. And like Northampton are an unbelievably well coached team. They have got some terrific young players. They've got some English international. Sam Vesti is an incredibly intelligent coach, and they had an excellent plan. And maybe for whatever reasons, Leinster on the day maybe weren't as good as they needed to be. But I think, it's fascinating hearing the challenges of bringing it in, because what we're saying is that you've got to bring it in. It's got to be there every single day. I think there's been loads of indications where they've been absolutely fantastic, and
No,
both
but
defensively and
no.
in technical
Who's
ways.
sorry? No, sorry. Who's the Northampton player? I can't bloody for the life of me remember his name. And Claire, this will not surprise you or anyone. I can't remember his name. Who is the Northampton player who Pollock? Got it.
Yeah, he's fucking
Now,
great. He's
no,
okay.
but hold on,
He's
Claire.
a great player. He's an
He
idiot
is.
as a person, but he's a fucking great player. I'd
But
love to
hold on.
smack him. I'd love to smack him.
Yeah, all right, Claire. One sec. Noel Pollock, great player for Northampton, but he didn't really light up the stage on the Lions tour, did he?
He wasn't selected, obviously. So obviously the
No, no,
coaches
no,
saw
no, no,
something,
no, no,
and
no, 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 no. He did play. He did play a couple of games, but he didn't play in the test games. I don't think.
yeah, exactly.
If memory
Yeah.
serves me.
21. He's
Well, come here, but hold
21.
on.
Like 9 months previous, he wasn't even on the fucking Northampton team. He was like he wasn't even playing on the Northampton team 9 months previous. In the year he went from being a backup to getting to a Champions Cup final, albeit getting hammered, and going out onto the Lions tour. He's 21. He
But
is going to
I
be
would say,
as
I
much
would say there.
as much as it kills me to say it. He's going to be a good. He's going to be some fucking player.
He will be. He will be. And my
He just
what
needs
I
to stop being so cocky.
no, what I was going to say to you was, Claire, that he got onto that Lions tour for his performance, as Noel alluded to, against
Yes.
Leinster in the quarterfinals, whatever it was. Yeah, I was at the game in the Aviva, and he ran
Really?
around. And yeah, okay. I've actually lost my. Go on, Claire. Go on. What was I talking about?
You were okay. We were talking about the Leinster coaching team, and then we were talking about Henry Pollock. Which one do you want to go back to?
I don't know. Probably the. I think we finished talking about this, haven't we?
I don't know.
But
I mean, you're the host.
I don't know. Noel, let me ask you to move on. I'm going to leave. I have point number 3. I'm leaving that till towards the end because we do a win, lose, or draw, and I'll tie it in with that. It's to do with the Women's Rugby World Cup. The top 14. Now we've had this discussion, Noel, in the past with I can't remember who the last time we had it. I think it wasn't with Shane Byrne. I don't know. It wasn't with Shane Byrne. It could have been with Matt Williams, I think, or one of them. I can't remember what it was. Anyway, doesn't matter.
You can never remember stuff.
I can never remember. No, this idea of the top 14 teams, you're there, you're in the thick of it, you're there with Bordeaux Begley, you're the attack coach, you know it, you live it week in, week out. A lot of people maybe would be maybe annoyed, maybe. No, I don't know. Maybe that's the right word. That they feel that the top 14, the French teams, kind of are a bit spoiled, and they're a bit kind of. It's a bit kind of tricky that they're not under the auspices of the French, the FFR. They are privately owned. So does that directly impact? Well, it does. It's an obvious question, but is that a good thing for world rugby that the majority of the French clubs, top French clubs, are privately owned? And will it come back to bite them when their owners, I could go through them, just go, I'm not into this Bulls anymore, I'm going to sell it. and then what happens? Go on, Mel.
Yeah, I suppose the model is the model. You know, in terms of as you mentioned, the clubs are privately owned. It's interesting hearing the murmurings about the franchises in England at the moment as well. The RFU obviously probably has a little bit more control there, but you know, the reality in the top 14 is the salary cap. Is one structure that's in place that you know probably dictates a little bit in terms of the evenness of the playing field, and the second thing obviously is the GIF structure. So you know, the GIF structure was brought in probably I don't know, so after Toulon kind of had almost an entire team.
But no, you mentioned the salary cap. Toulouse broke that by 12.2 million last year.
No, the salary cap is about 12 million. So
and Toulouse broke it by 12.2 million last year.
Is that no? But did they technically break it, or was that the one where they were caught paying people like expenses where they weren't really expenses?
No.
Go on, no.
No, it was incident with Melvin Jaminet, obviously, where there was a transfer fee involved, and the transfer fee is supposed to be included in the salary cap, and there was lots of questions about that, and obviously I've been previous with Cheslin Colby as well, in terms of a transfer fee that was paid or not paid or whatever it is, but the salary cap wasn't broken by 12 million. Like, the salary cap is 12 million, so if it was broken by 12 million, they would have doubled it. You know, so Toulouse have the biggest salary cap because for every French international that you have, you get an increase in the salary cap. So I think largely the salary cap is actually about 10.7. So for every French international that you have, you get an extra allowance of 180,000 euros. And you know, Toulouse obviously had Antoine Dupont, who played sevens, and so I think that counted as 3, for example. So everyone is like, "Oh, Toulouse are really sound to let Antoine Dupont play sevens for France," but he played all the big games for them, and he also contributed close to $500,000 extra into their salary cap. So that's like the salary cap. It is what it is, you know. And there's lots of. I only know what Bordeaux do, and we certainly don't. Don't cheat on it. You know, we lose players. We lost Pete Samuel last year, and we certainly did not want to lose him. He was a fantastic player for us in particularly in Europe. He was our starting number 8, and unfortunately, he you know, we weren't able to keep him on, and you know, there are other examples as well. So that's one thing. You know, the other thing is the GIFs, but the reality is, Peter, you know, the top 14 it generates an awful lot of income. You know, so some of it is you know, I think I mentioned to you already. We're into game 3. You know, and just play more games. You know, every weekend there's a Sunday night game here at 9:00. There's a Saturday night game at 9:00. You know, so throughout all the weekend, Pro D2, they play on Thursday, Friday. So Canal Plus are obviously, you know, paying an awful lot of money to televise all of these games. So Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, and Saturday all through the day. You've got multiplex as well. So.
Well, come here. No, you mentioned there you're into round 3. You have Montauban next. How do you think that's going to go?
Yeah, there's very few easy games. Is the reality as well. You know, Montauban obviously were promoted last season, and unusually for a promoted team, they finished 6th in Pro D2. So they finished 6th. So if you finish 6th, it's a really challenging route through to the top 14. So you have to play away from home all the games. So they played away from home in the barrage, played away from home in the semi-final, and then obviously play the final and you know, beat the teams seated higher than them in all 3 of them. So it's like everything else. We were disappointed in some of our performance in last weekend, so we're trying to focus on ourselves. And we've it's been such a short pre-season. It's trying to find a bit of rhythm again and try to. You know, just try to get back into it. So we're hoping for an improved performance. We need to get a win. We need to get points, and that's the nature of the top 14.
I think. I mean, if no, we look at last year's where the top 14 where Bordeaux finished. You were 2nd behind Toulouse. I think Toulouse was on 90 points, and you guys were on 78. Do you think this season you're going to improve on that? Now, that's a huge ask, I might add. But do
Yeah,
you think you're going to?
and that's the goal. And we were talking about, Matt made the point about coaching groups and teams when they're together over a period of time. We're into our third season, and we'd like to think that we can improve. We've got quite a young team. We've got some really, really good young players, the likes of Louis Bielbarré and
Yes.
It's amazing, man.
yeah, Yoram Moafana, Marco Gazzotti, obviously, and even guys like Matthew Jalibert is not old. So you mentioned as well what the process. I think Matt, I think it was also you, but you're absolutely right. Or it might have been Peter as well. It is a collaborative process. It's about creating an environment where people are learning from each other, and good players, and hopefully with good coaches, they all get better together, and that's exactly what we're trying to do. So, obviously last season, we were coming from a particular place as well, because we suffered an absolute humiliation in the top 14 final the year before. So I mentioned we lost to Harlequins in that Champions Cup quarter final, but we got to the final of the top 14 after that, and we got absolutely demolished by Toulouse in the final. Took 60, well, not quite, but took 50, and it was a humiliation. It really was, and so obviously coming back from that, and it's a long road. It was 12 months to get back to the final again, and you don't know how it's going to go. Obviously, we had the Champions Cup in between, and we probably were just a little bit. We just weren't quite good enough, unfortunately. We scored a try late in the game, and Max Luku converted a penalty from 45 meters to take the game into extra time. We got to extra time. We managed to dominate the first 10 minutes, but you've got to score, and we didn't. And unfortunately, lost the 2 Thomas Ramos penalties at the end of the game. So in the second period of extra time. So it's.
I remember.
Yeah, so it's a generation. It's a fantastic generation of Toulouse players. Considering that they were missing the best player in the world. They've arguably the second best player in the world in Thomas Ramos. But
he is some man, Noel. He's some man.
Yeah, he makes a huge difference to them. He's a fantastic player. There's absolutely no.
Come here. No, let me ask you. But before we move on and we engage everyone else, because I want to give you a break from talking. How does the mantle of the best Irish-born coach in the business at the moment sit with you?
I don't know where that mantle comes from, but it's certainly not something that's going to give me too much.
It's been said. It's been said. If you look up, if you type in, if you Google Noel McNamara,
your name.
That's what you see.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah. It's no, listen. It's very straightforward for me. Peter, I love coaching. It's not. I love what I'm doing. I've loved coaching. This is my 20th year of coaching rugby teams, and I can go back to 2005 with the Clongowes under 13s, and I loved it back then, and I still love it. And that's what it's about for me, to be honest with you. And we've got a fantastic group of players here that I love. I bounce into work every day, and I love challenging them, and they challenge me as well. And that's very much what it's about for me. It's about that. That pressure to get better, I guess, as much as anything else, and the evolution. I think you mentioned it at the start as well. It is something that is really, because I do think we've got there's no limits really to this group, and there's players that obviously one of probably one of the things that I would like to see as my strengths is I probably don't have any. Certainly don't have any from history. I've nothing tying me back, so. I think that's something that I would really lean into.
But would you now know? Like, I could talk to you for another hour or two. No, would you have ambitions for international coaching?
I think ambitions are very.
You have to.
Yeah, I think ambition is exactly what it is. You want to test yourself at the highest possible level. I'm no different to anybody else. I want to work with the best possible players, but I think something that has served me very, very well for a very, very long period of time is focusing on being as good as you can possibly be in the present, because ultimately that dictates what happens in the future. So I think for me, I recently extended here. I extended to 2027 in Bordeaux, and that's really very much where the focus is, and I love what I'm doing. We're very happy here. We've settled here quite well. It was a challenge at the start. The language in particular was a big challenge, and you mentioned even that piece for coaches and for players, and sometimes we're really impatient to see an impact and to see results. And I mentioned Pete Samu already. Pete came over here with 3 young kids, and the first year was a challenge for him. And I guess I understand that a little bit better now and what the challenges are. And I think once you get settled into it and everything else, it just it becomes a little bit easier.
Yeah. Okay. Very good.
So,
Talk
so,
about
so, wait,
language.
hold on.
Sorry, go on.
So when you're Ireland coach, does that mean we get free tickets off you? Because you were on it back on this day, or we just have a party? Right. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Not that we take
I,
bribes, but we wouldn't
I,
ask for a free ticket or two.
I could be just as likely to be a suckler farmer in East Clare.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, go Clare, man. Noel, talking about the language barrier, I was in Spain last week and I accidentally ordered a pint of toilet paper. I don't know how that happened, but sure. Anyway, there you go. Okay, Pete. I can't even remember the initial question. I got so engrossed talking to Noel.
Yeah.
No, I did genuinely got so. I
It's
found
the Alzheimer's. We told you that it's the Alzheimer's kicking in.
no, it's something to do with that. I found what Noel was saying very, very interesting. Pete, if you can remember the question I initially asked, Noel, probably about the top 14, how Bordeaux are going to do. Are they going to beat Toulouse? And probably go on.
Yeah, I was just picking up on something there that Noel mentioned about how Montauban, how they played away a fair bit in order to get to where they are. Traditionally, I suppose, we've always kind of looked at French teams from an international perspective where they never travelled well. And, you'd say, well, the home matches, whatever like that. I suppose what I'm trying to say is, you've got a team there like Montauban who've obviously done it the hard way. They've played a few games away, whatever, in order to get from Pro D2 up to the top 14. Is there a kind of a shift? Has there been a shift, perhaps, in a lot of French teams in the way they play as regards their mindset from playing away from home? Or is it just really down to literally the personalities within the team who drive it? Or is there a general kind of home away kind of mindset?
Yeah, it's a great question. There obviously is, and historically has been a little bit of that. But you see, there's so many different influences in top 14 now as well. I remember we went to play Connacht in the Champions Cup. It was our first away game, and I remember reading a few bits, and I really got into the boys about it. About the Irish view that French teams can't go away from home and win, and it's certainly something that. I think is almost a lazy kind of a thing now, because when you look at the performances of La Rochelle away from home, Toulouse away from home, or particularly the teams that really target in your bet, and that's something, that is a reality. There are some of the French teams that just do not, and I think that's some of the frustration that is created as well. There's almost kind of a group of French teams that really do compete in the Champions Cup and put everything into it, and there's a group who, unfortunately, for whatever reason, decide that they're not going to do that. But certainly, I think when you look at the performance of France in Dublin last year, and I would hope some of the performances from the top 4 teams away from home in Europe, I don't think it's the case anymore, to be honest. And even, Peter, you mentioned the 90 points. We had 78 points. We won away from home 6 times last year. 6 times. And that was just in the top 14 regular season. So we won, 2 away from home in the Champions Cup as well. So it's something that if you want to be successful in France, you have to be better at winning away from home. It just won't be enough to win your home games. And as I said, I think you've got the influence of, kind of, whether that's Australian or New Zealand or Anglo-Saxon, or there is quite a mix now in the top 14, be it in the staff and in the playing groups as well. But I definitely think that there has been a shift in that. Even you look at La Rochelle went to the Stormers last year and won, didn't they? And the Toulouse went to the Sharks and won, albeit without a bonus. The previous year we went to the Bulls and lost 46-42, I think it was. It certainly is something that we have addressed specifically, Pete, and have chased hard at being better away from home, and even lots of different things that Yannick would have brought in, but just how we travel and how we go to games and things like that.
Okay, come here, Noel. Let me ask you if you could rob one player from your competition, who would it be? And you can't say Anton Dupont.
I would never replace Max Luku.
Good call.
He's the heart and soul of our team. Incredible rugby player, but an incredible person. Yeah. Honestly, I don't know if I could consider someone higher. He's just
but just in general, any number on the pitch.
It's
Sorry, it's a difficult situation there.
I'll rephrase. Not replace, but would like in your squad.
Do you know who? I watched the Springbok New Zealand game today because you mentioned having a chat about that. But one of the players that I have coached before that I absolutely love, and he's the same position as Anton Dupont, is Grant Williams. Grant Williams tackled in the 76th minute of the game at 36-10. At 36-10 up, 76th minute of the game. His turn and burn and tackle was playing on the wing, by the way, and he's a scrum half. It was absolutely incredible. But he's another magnificent person, and just has worked so hard to get to where he's got to. I remember I used to drive into the Sharks training center at 5:30 in the morning, and on the pitch is Grant Williams and Jaden Hendricks already 5:30, kicking, passing. There used to be the groundsman, a guy called Mike Intombella. He used to be there with them, catching the ball for them, giving them the ball back. Just their appetite to get better was absolutely remarkable. And when you look at, obviously the two of them went on and won the World Cup in 2023, and it's fantastic to see Grant now as the first choice and starting big games for South Africa.
Brilliant. Okay. Thanks, Noel, for that. Points well made. Just a couple of comments coming in. Dara West and Dave Sheedy he'd need to coach Lourdes first to be able to perform a miracle with Munster. That is in reference to nothing we spoke I made about the current coaching ticket. Dave Sheedy, Dara West is very clear that Munster only win European trophies when a Clare man is involved.
There we go. No, there's a double for you.
Mike Sheedy, God, what's Mike saying? The ref and TMO have destroyed Irish women's team game. They need to open their eyes. Remember, two teams in the game, TMO and ref. They think there's four.
He was on holidays.
All right, I thought, okay, we just leave that there. Okay, now, we are fast approaching the hour mark. Noel, I said we would only keep you an hour. Let's talk about the games that are upcoming, and indeed the Ireland got knocked out in the quarterfinals, but let's have a talk about the semi-finals coming up and who indeed is going to be triumphant in the Women's World Cup. No, I'll ask you first. We have New Zealand are playing Canada. Noel, who's winning, who's losing, who's drawing that?
I think there's going to be a repeat final. I think realistically, you're probably looking at England against New Zealand.
No.
Albeit the romantics might see Canada, but that would be my call.
I think Noel, and everyone's going to hate me for this. Everyone's going to hate. I think Canada is going to win the World Cup. Anyway, there you go.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, no, I do, because an awful lot of I've said it before, an awful lot of the Canadian women play in the Premiership, and they're number 2 in the world, and they're a bloody good team.
They're number 2 in the world behind England, and they're ahead of New Zealand in the rankings.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So no, you think New Zealand versus Canada? You think New Zealand are going to win that?
Yep. Yep.
All right. Okay. The other one is France versus England. I suspect I'm going to agree with your decision on this.
Yeah, I think England are just too strong. Yeah, I definitely see England there.
Okay. Now, no. If England win, and let's go with my choice, Canada, England Canada final. Who's winning? Who would you? Let's throw it out there. Who's winning that?
Yeah, I think England are the best team. They're certainly the most organised from what I've seen. I think that the challenge will be for Canada to stay loyal to how they play, and if they can play a game that they want to play, I just think England will have a way of shutting it down a little bit and bring it all back together. But if Canada can like, obviously they're fantastic to watch, and it's open, it's fast, it's if they can stay loyal and stay, then there's absolutely every chance. But yeah, I still think it will be England, New Zealand, and England will win the final.
No, stop with your
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Thanks, Noel. Peter Martin, your thoughts? New Zealand, the first semi-final. New Zealand versus Canada. Pete.
It's look, the cream is rising to the top now at this stage in the women's game. I find it too tough to call, to be perfectly frank. Like, you've got Canada, who are I feel are like a coming team. They're exceptionally strong, and then you've got the pedigree of New Zealand, and they've got a couple of, like, I can't think of that left winger's name who scored that try against Ireland that had about
Lawrence and McGee.
Yeah, and of course you've got your one Portia Woodman as well, another fantastic player, and then you've got the supporting cast, which is probably the service to them, but they're all fantastic players. It's possibly like I would say New Zealand by 3 points kind of thing. I feel it's going to be kind of that tight, kind of based on that's
Shirley Thornton. England versus Canada. It will be England home advantage. Sadly, thanks, Shirley. Okay. The other one, Pete, France versus England.
Yeah, well, look, I think England are the home nation. I think they're ultimately going to win the cup anyway. I
disagree with you. I'll have a fiver bet with you, Pete.
That's allowed. Pete. That's okay. Yeah, no, look, I think England have their home nation. They have the crowd. It'll be the 16th man if they're not performing as a team. Blah blah blah. Moments in the bigger games, like the remaining games, I think they'll get across the line. It won't matter how they do it as long as they do it.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Thanks, Pete. Matt, to you, New Zealand versus Canada. Who's winning that? The first semi-final.
Well, it's going to be an absolute belter of a game, and I can tell you it's going to be very, very close. But like I said during the week earlier on, I think Canada are going to do it, so I'm going to stick with Canada because.
Thanks very much, Matt. Love that.
I'd be just contradicting myself, and I know I do that quite regularly, but I'm not doing it.
You do, yeah. Okay. The second semi-final, Matt, France versus England.
Yeah, look, there's definitely only going to be one winner there, and it's going to be England. The Red Roses they're on another planet altogether. Do
you think, Matt? Do you think they'll beat Canada?
Yeah, I think they're going to go the whole way.
Oh, no, go way out that way. Claire,
I'll have a five with you.
No, I'll have a five with you. Claire, go on. New Zealand versus Canada. Claire.
Canada. I said it from the start.
You did, yes. Thank you very much. And
I did.
And the other one, Claire, France
versus England.
Oh, it's going to be England.
Eddie Kildone is back. Eddie Kildone is back, and the lady is just something else. She is world class.
Okay, so it's going to be England, Canada, Claire, according to you in the final.
England. and it's got England are going to win it outright.
All right. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
and I have a fiver on it with it as well.
Okay, fair enough. All right. Okay, folks, look, we're over the hour mark. My thanks, we got to end it here. My thanks
Um,
are to the
Can
usual.
I gotta be terrible. No, when I come over to watch a match in Bordeaux, I'll give you a shout.
No problem. No problem.
And you can go running the other way. Go, oh no, here she is. We don't know her. I don't know her.
Yeah.
No,
Turn the
not at all.
phone off.
I suspect you would
They
have your runners on.
they tried that at matches over here as well.
No, run
No,
fast.
it's a great place to visit.
Run
Okay,
away.
yeah. Folks, that is all we have time for. It has been
Don't worry,
extremely
he's
very,
lovely,
very.
really. He's do love me.
Now
I know
we
you
are.
do.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Gary. So my thanks are to the regular guests, the three of the seven, I think it is, colleagues that are involved in running this whole thing. Matt Boland, Claire Devney, and Peter Martin. And also our thanks, our huge thanks. We are always appreciative of guests who come on and share their knowledge and their wisdom and just generally chat about rugby. Noel McNamara, our sincere thanks to you. You're an absolute gentleman for your time. Thank you very much indeed. And we will talk to you again, Noel. Have a good season, Noel, and we might talk to
Thanks
you
very
during
much.
the season, midway through. So thank you very much.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Noel.
Neil.
Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Cheers,
Noel.
guys. Thank you.
Thanks.
Take
Take
care.
care.
Bye. Bye.
All
Bye.
the
Bye.
best.
Bye.